Hey there, Smite fans. Aggro here, and I'm joined by the captain of the eUnited SPL team, Hurriwind. Hurry, some news coming out of the eUnited camp. You guys have decided to make a roster switch, dropping Eonic from the roster. Before we get into who is replacing him and all that kind of stuff, I want to ask just what led you to make this decision right now.
Yeah, so it's never an easy decision to make. It's actually probably the hardest decision anyone can make when it comes to teams in a competitive environment. But we were just kind of struggling. We were performing better at the beginning when the invades were kind of still a thing. But we just didn't really see progress at the rate other teams were seeing progress. And we were struggling a lot around the duo lane, and we were struggling a lot with some leadership aspects of the team to a really bad extent. We were losing just about all of our scrims, and we lost our two most recent SPL games. I guess not most recent in Vito Bay, but we were just not seeing progress, and we were kind of lost. And so we were kind of in a spot where we felt like we had to make some kind of change to see progress. So that's how we got there. Just seemed like the best one.
Yeah, do you think that making a change this early in the season, I mean, I think a lot of people might say, well, there's still so much room for growth. You don't know how good this roster could have really been. But do you think there's some value in making a change like this early so that you can try and get through the tougher times of bringing in a new support player and then be kind of operating at a higher capacity when it becomes more critical for you to be doing so?
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be had for both sides of that argument. Ultimately, we live here day to day and we practice day to day, and you lose almost actually every scrim for like 2 weeks and you're double blocking. It's hard to just say like this doesn't matter, like we can improve when you're not seeing any improvement like day to day, like scrim to scrim. Um, and so the reality is that we actually have to like live with losing, and like our morale that comes with that as well when you're just not doing well, and when you don't have like a good period really to fall back onto, it's hard to feel like you have one to get to as well, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
from our perspective, it just makes more sense to get it changed ASAP and try to get something rolling in our position.
Well, you guys have made the decision to pick up probably the most talented support free agent that isn't in the SPL level, but a guy who's over in Europe. You're picking up genetics, and obviously with this whole situation, him coming over and playing with you in the team house is not a viable option. So he's going to be playing online from home in Europe on NA servers. Was Talk to me about the conversation about who you wanted to pick up. Was genetics the obvious choice for you? And then if you're concerned at all about his current situation.
Yeah, so the whole EU thing is definitely something to note. Um, it's not something you can just brush off that he's going to have to play on higher ping. And with everything going on in the world, who's to say when he's actually going to be able to get here, if he does. Um, but we're being hopeful. He is certainly, I think, the most obvious option for us. I think for some of our problems as well. Like he's a talkative, proactive player, and I think it'll kind of make up for some of the weaknesses we've had lately. And he's obviously just, I mean, I wouldn't say he's a proven player, but I would say that most people won't be surprised to see him in the SPL. Um, and from just, talking to him a bit and playing with him a little bit, I think that's pretty accurate as well. Um, the EU stuff, it's hard to say right now, obviously, but we're pretty confident about it, seeing it a little bit. Didn't seem like it was as big a deal as you might think. But we're just going to be hopeful on the whole thing. Like ultimately, he's playing support as well. He still has to play at a high level, just like every other role, but maybe a little bit less so than some of the other roles. So we're kind of hoping that it won't matter too much.
Do you think that the synergy is going to be able to be developed pretty quickly? Because, I mean, obviously you guys are primarily NA players. No one's played with genetics before. I'm sure Variety is pretty familiar with him being from Europe already, but are you concerned at all that, going from someone who Snoopy has laned with really, really consistently throughout his career to someone he's never really played with, is that a concern for you guys in that duo lane?
No, it's not. And the reason why is that it was not working with Eonic. And now it's a complicated issue. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say every problem our team had was on Eonic, but it just wasn't working before at all. You know, so the only direction we can go is up. Uh, and that's kind of like how we got to the decision in the first place as well. It's like, you know, it's not going to get worse. So if anything, it should get better. And from what I've seen so far, which isn't very much, mind you, it has looked significantly better already. You know, there's a honeymoon phase and things like that we're aware of, but I don't think it'll be an issue, honestly.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out. Genetics getting his first shot at the SPL, but in a bit of a strange circumstance, all things considered. Hurriwind, thanks very much for the time sitting down and talking with me about the roster change, and good luck to you and everyone on eUnited.
Yeah, thanks, Edgar.